Hello guys, Assalamu alaikum. Today we're reviewing this. This is the 11th generation of the Toyota Corolla, and this one in specific is the 2020 Toyota Corolla Altis Grande CVTi 1.8. Now I'll give you a walk around of the car first. Special thanks to Car Bank for lending us this car for this review. Okay, so this is the car. Let's talk about the key. So the key is pretty simple. You have the button to lock and unlock the car, and then you have the button to unlock the trunk as well. The trunk doesn't go all the way up when you unlock it, but it basically just unlatches the hook of the trunk. So let's just talk about the engine. So this is the engine. This is a 1.8 liter 4-cylinder non-laterally aspirated engine. It puts out around 143 horsepower and 175 newton meters of torque, and there is some insulation done on top of the hood, but the hood is still pretty warm. But I feel like that in terms of sound insulation, it is a pretty good job. Now let's close the hood. Let's talk about the front of the car. So obviously the first thing you can notice are the daytime running headlamps. Now obviously the car is switched off, so you can't see them, but you get daytime running lamps, and also you have xenon headlamps in this car as well. There's also chrome treatment on both the headlights and also the grille. You also get a front camera over here to assist you in parking. Obviously chrome treatment on top of the headlights, and you also get fog lamps underneath the car, but these are halogens. Now these have been updated in the newer retouch of the car, which is known as the Altis X. Now you get xenon, now you get LED fog lamps, and you also have a more sportier bumper. Now this car obviously has been discontinued and it has been upgraded and replaced by the Altis X. Let's talk about the wheels. You get 16-inch alloy wheels, and on the sides you can see that the door handles are really bulky and feel really good in the hand as well. You also have treatment on top of them. On the back of the car, obviously you have chrome, you have a mixture of chrome and red on the tail lights. You also have chrome treatment on the boot as well. So to open the boot is pretty simple. You just have to hold this button and it opens the boot, and you can see that it has a very spacious boot. It has a capacity of 470 liters. Also some insulation done on top of the trunk as well. And on the side you can see that this car has a really sleek look as well, and it doesn't feel as bulkier as the other Corollas, but I feel like that the rear bumper of this car just feels too big in proportion to the car. But this has still been updated in the Altis X. Now you get a black treatment on rear of the car, which obviously looks a lot more sportier. Now let's get into the back seat. So the first thing you can notice is that the interior is beige and black mixed. Now the front, obviously the driver's seat is all the way pushed all the way back, and you can still see that I have ample leg room, and also there is no hump in the middle as well. As you can see, you have an armrest with cup holders, and it gives off a very premium look, but the plastic on it just feels a bit cheap. Obviously you can see you have leather seats, since this used to be the top of the line variant. Now this has been replaced by the Altis X. You also have storage space behind the front seat and the passenger seat. You also have storage cubby on the door. You can put it, you can use it for your bottles and also some other stuff and all. And also the material on the door, this doesn't feel really premium, but it looks good though. It doesn't feel premium, but it looks good. Also have chrome treatment on the door handle. You also have power windows for the back too, and ample amount, not really ample, I'm 6'1", and I feel like that headroom is a bit lacking, because obviously this car is designed to be more streamlined. So I feel like headroom is a bit lacking, but it still does the job. I'm 6'1" and I'm a bit uncomfortable, but it's still alright. Now let's peek into the front. You can see that the front obviously looks really good, and the interior obviously looks very luxurious as compared to the older Corollas, but I still feel like that a bit more quality control would make this car give off a more expensive look. Now let's hop into the front. So obviously opening the door feels really heavy, but it's still not as heavy that you can't even open it. It has a decent weight to it, which obviously gives off a luxurious feel. Let me see if it is recording. Yeah, it is recording. So obviously on the door, the first thing you can notice is that you have speakers over here, you have speakers over here as well. You also have storage space over here. The controls on the door, obviously you have the lock and unlock button for all the doors, you have the lock button for the power windows, and you have all the controls for the power windows as well. You also have these new AC vents. Now obviously this car had a facelift in 2017, and it was then given these round AC vents on the sides. They used to be straight before the facelift, and obviously this car was released in 2014, and this was then facelifted in 2017. And with that you got the push button start, you got these round AC vents on the sides. Also you can see you have the button for the retractable mirrors, you have the button to control the power to control the mirrors from the inside. On the steering wheel, of course, let me just start the car. So on the steering wheel, of course, you can see, so to start the car is pretty simple. You just have to put your foot on the brake and press the engine start stop button. This isn't working for some reason. So let's get into the car, and you can see, of course, that the steering wheel obviously gives off a really premium look. It has it's stitched in leather. You also have paddle shifters, you also have a multimedia steering to control your music output, as well as control your 4.4-inch screen in the middle of the car. So obviously this screen gives you the range, it gives you the eco indicator, it gives you also your current fuel average, and it has a really good design to it. Of course, you also have analog speedometer and analog meter for the rev, and on the right of the car you have the engine start stop button as well. You have paddle shifters behind it. On the left of the car you have the button for the traction control on and off, and I feel like it is a bit ineffective. It barely did anything when I tried using it. Then you have the hazard lights button over there on the left of the steering wheel. Under that you have the button for your single zone climate control, and it honestly feels really luxurious, and obviously the AC is really effective as well. And these climate control buttons obviously give off a really premium look, but you have only a single zone climate control, which could be a bit uncomfortable, or maybe a bit inaccessible in the summers. Now under that you have a 12-watt power socket, you have a USB port, and you have the button for the auxiliary port and also the charger. And the screen, obviously you have a 9-inch screen, and it feels really good, of course, and it's good to use too, but I feel like it is a bit lagging. Like when you press it, of course, it gives off it is a bit, I'd say, slow. Also you have the front camera, and to access it you just have to go press the home button and press the front cam, and there it is. You have the front camera. Also it is really effective if you need to park your car. Obviously you have a reverse camera, and also with the reverse gear you have the auto link mirrors to the reverse gear. So obviously when you have to reverse, the mirrors adjust themselves to make you to give you a better angle while you're reversing the car. So as you can see, the mirrors obviously adjust themselves a bit when you press the reverse gear. And other than that, coming to the middle, you have space over here. You can put your phone over here as well, and you have a gear. It is a CVT. You also get a manual mode in it, and behind that you have a sport button and also an empty switch. And also talking about the sport button, like, you don't really have a choice. You either have a sport button or you have an eco mode. So I feel like it doesn't work, because If it had a proper sport button and it had an eco button, then obviously it would have gotten a normal mode button, but you don't have it. Behind that you have two cup holders as well. You can also may use it as one by removing this divider in the middle. You also have a traditional handbrake, which is a bit unusual for a car in this era. Obviously it's compared to the Civic has an electronic e-brake. Now obviously you have a two-stage center console. There's space on top and then there's space over here. Obviously it's not the biggest, but you have decent depth, so you can put taller things over here as well. You also have a storage cubby, which is really big and feels good too. The interior, obviously there's piano black on sides of the screen, which kind of gives off a cheap look, but it also looks good. And then you have hand stitched leather on bottom, then you have this plastic on top, and you also have this bead. Now obviously in the new Altis X you can have a full black interior, but that will cost you more, 20,000 more. But I feel like it doesn't just look that good. And on top you have your sunglasses holder, you have the lights, and you have the button for the sunroof as well, of course. Now you also have this visor mirror, and it also comes with the light, but you'll have to turn it on manually by pressing this button. And sunroof on top too. And I think that's it about the interior. Now let's put this car on the road and see how it drives. Now putting it in drive. Now you can see that there is an eco button over here. When I press the sport button, there is a sport mode over here, but there is no normal mode, which obviously is a bit weird, because how can a car have sport and normal mode, the sport and eco mode, but no normal mode? So yeah, it feels a bit weird. Now putting it on the road, the steering feels really light. Instantly you can tell how light the steering is. And also in terms of the leg room, as the driving leg room, I was recently driving a J120 Prado, and it has at least the same amount, if not more, the leg room, which is obviously a bit unusual considering the class of this car. This is a normal luxury, this is a normal sedan. The Prado obviously comes in more of a luxury class. This has really good legroom even for the driver, and you can see my seat is all the way back, but I still had a lot of legroom in the back too. So this car is really spacious. Of course it is really big in length, 4620 millimeters, and this car also is a bit lighter than the Civic, which obviously doesn't really look that way, because this car feels a lot more bulkier while you look at it, but this weighs less than the Civic, which was a bit surprising to me. And even a while before, I was driving this car usually on the road, and I was barely giving it any gas, and the fuel average was still in the high 9s and low 10s. I'm hoping this doesn't obstruct your view, because the sun is coming from that way, and I don't want it to be I don't want the footage to be very bright because of the sun. So obviously now we'll turn so we can put that up. And on bumps, this and the suspension feels really comfortable. It is obviously a bit on the more softer side as opposed to the Civic. The Civic has a stiffer suspension as compared to this. Let's turn on the AC and see its performance. And it's obviously 40 degrees outside, 39 now, and I barely feel any heat because the AC on it works really well. Also the audio unit works really well as well. I tried using it in the day and it had really good sound. There wasn't a lot of bass, but in terms of the sound quality it wasn't bad at all. Also about the visibility, I think it lacks visibility because just your dash is so high and I can barely see the end of the car. I can hardly see the bonnet of the car, of course, also, but on the sides you have big side mirrors, so that doesn't block that. The A-pillars are obviously not that bad either, but I think that the shape of this car makes it a bit harder to look at the front end of the car. But obviously to assist with that they've given you front camera, but I think it is a bit impractical to always use it. So I think it would have been better if you just gave it a higher, maybe if you would have put the dash a bit low, but maybe if you would have just raised the car from the front, so would have given you a bit more guidance. But this still isn't that bad, honestly. Now obviously driving this car, I'm barely giving it any gas, and it still has a fuel average of 7.2 kilometers per liter, and it doesn't feel that bad, honestly. The steering is really light, so you don't have a lot of feel to it, but it's still not bad. But honestly, I think it feels really good, and the car obviously feels really luxurious as well. Let's try the paddle shifters now. They feel fast, but I feel like that the throttle response on this car is lacking, because whenever I floor the car, it takes a bit of a delay, and then it obviously gets the car going. It's a CVT, so it's not the best in terms of the gear change speed, but it still does a decent job. And obviously driving it in the manual mode is a bit of a headache, because the transmission isn't that responsive, so you might as well drive it normally, because when you're driving it in manual mode, you'll obviously want a bit more feel to the transmission, which is lacking over here. So yeah, that is a bit of a downside. Other than that, visibility from the sides, obviously you have really big side mirrors, so that is good. Obviously you have a really wide windscreen as well, which makes it look nice, but you can't see the front end of the car, which is a bit, I think, which ruins the experience a bit, but it's still not that bad. The brakes are decent, but I feel like that the brakes, maybe in this specific car, because when you push like 50% of the brakes, the car just struggles for the ABS, because like last night I was using it and it was really struggling to brake, and the ABS was kicking in. So I think that is a bit weird, because maybe the ABS should be kicking in on the lowest edges of the brake, of course, but even on a decent height it was still kicking in the ABS. So that was, I think, a problem for me, because that just felt a bit uncomfortable, but still decent. Now obviously the AC is on, and it's on 18.5, and it feels really good. I barely feel any heat in here, and you can also barely hear any noise from the engine, but I feel like that it has a lot of wind noise, and you can especially feel it when you're driving it faster than a normal day. Like even on this speed you can hear a lot of the wind noise. You can't hear a lot of noise from the engine, of course, and still some noise from the, why is this man driving in my lane? Still some noise from the tires, but it's still decent. Now obviously flooring the car, it feels fast, but the steering just pushes to the right side for some reason. Maybe it is the problem with the tires, or maybe it is not calibrated that well, because flooring this car, the steering just pushes to the right side, which is a bit unusual. And other than that, even flooring the car, the engine doesn't sound that much, it doesn't make that much of a noise, and still feels good. Decent performance too. It's not breathtaking performance, but I think it will do the job, even though it is lighter than the Civic and it has almost the same performance figures. But according to some people, this is a bit slower than the Civic, which obviously is not a surprise to me, because Civic is considered more sportier than the Corolla. This one obviously in terms of reliability is unmatchable. It's obviously a Toyota, so it's really good. Obviously really popular over here as well. Now you have around 6 trims in this car now, and all of them are Altis. Obviously when this car was launched back in 2014, you had the XLI, the GLI, the Altis 1.6 and the Altis 1.8, but now the GLI and XLI are obviously discontinued and replaced by the Yaris, and we'll be reviewing that soon as well. But now this only has the Altis, and even all the Altises now have an X badge on it as well, which obviously is a remodeling, or maybe I'd just say a slight update to the car. It's not really all that big of a deal. So that starts from around 32 lakhs for the 1.6 manual and goes all the way up to 40 lakhs for the all black interior and the Altis Grande X. Now obviously this has the Grand badging still, but you don't have the CVTi badging now. You just have the Grande X and all that. So still it feels good. I feel like it has a bit of a body roll because of the softer suspension, but it's still something you can live with. And other than that, it's just a really good car to drive. And obviously 7.3 kilometers per liter, so I think in terms of fuel economy this isn't the best car, and you're better off with a car, maybe a Japanese car or something, because for an 1800cc this doesn't have that good of a fuel average and fuel economy performance, but in terms of driving it feels really good. It feels really tamed as well and comfortable to drive, and it's really easy to drive as well. Like you can just barely give it any gas and it just rolls. You also get cruise control, by the way, so on a long trip you can use it. And obviously on longer routes you can get around 12 to 14 kilometers per liter, but in the city, even if you're a very slow driver, you can barely get the fuel average over 10. So I mean, I was driving it really slowly during the day and the most I got was 10. So obviously the fuel average performance isn't that good. Obviously the competitor is over here too, and that's a bit of a bad move on my side, but the car shouldn't have stopped in the middle of the road. Khair. So this was the review of the 2020 Toyota Corolla Altis Grande CVTi 1.8, and I think my final verdict on this car is that it obviously is a really good car to drive if you're looking for luxury and also practicality and reliability. So in terms of that, this car is really good. But if you're looking for an option that is lighter on your pocket, so I don't think this is the car for you, because this car obviously will cost you a lot of money, and this one is easily worth over 36-37 lakhs. So obviously not the cheapest car you can get on the market. So yeah, that is it for the review. Please, thank you for watching. Please leave a like and share the video if you liked it, and also comment what do you think that the video is lacking in, so I can improve it for the next video. Thank you for watching. Allah Hafiz.